Bullies target the quiet girl. They had no idea. She was a boxing champion. Zara Williams sat in Jefferson High's cafeteria corner, absorbed in a worn paperback novel. At 17, she possessed an unassuming presence that made her invisible to most students. Her dark skin held a natural glow, but oversized hoodies concealed her athletic frame. Behind wire-rimmed glasses, intelligent brown eyes darted between pages and occasional glances around the room. Just get through today, she thought, the same mantra from her first month at this new school. Moving from Detroit to this suburban district had been her mother's idea. Better opportunities, safer neighborhoods, but Zara wondered if anywhere was truly safe when you were different. Well, look what we have here, the voice cut through, her concentration like a blade. Marcus Webb slid into the seat across from her, his Letterman jacket gleaming under fluorescent lights. Captain of the wrestling team, he commanded respect through intimidation. His sandy hair was perfectly styled, blue eyes holding a cruel gleam that made Zara's stomach tighten. Behind him stood his crew, Tyler Morrison, a hulking linebacker whose neck seemed to merge with his shoulders, and Jake Santos, wiry but vicious with the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. The trio targeted anyone they deemed unworthy. Reading again, scholarship girl? Marcus's voice dripped mock concern. Don't you have any friends to sit with? Zara kept her eyes on her book, hoping they'd lose interest. Don't engage. Don't give them ammunition. Hey! Tyler slammed his palm on the table, causing Zara's water bottle to jump. My boy Marcus asked you a question. Several nearby tables went quiet, students sensing familiar electricity that preceded trouble. Teachers ate lunch in the faculty room, unaware of the cruelty flourishing in their absence. I'm just trying to eat, Zara said quietly, finally looking up. Her voice remained steady, despite her racing heart. Just trying to eat, Jake mimicked in high pitch. What's wrong with your voice anyway? You sound weird. Everything about her is weird, Marcus added, reaching across to flip through her book. What kind of freak reads during lunch? Don't they have TV where you come from? Where you come from? The phrase hung like smoke. Zara felt familiar anger burn in her chest, but she'd learned to swallow it. Fighting back would only make things worse. Please just leave me alone, she whispered. Marcus leaned forward, voice dropping to a threatening whisper. Or what? You gonna call your daddy? Oh, wait. He grinned maliciously. I heard your daddy ain't in the picture. Just you and mommy, right? The cafeteria seemed to hold its breath. Even background teenage chatter dimmed to watch the show. Zara's hands clenched into fists beneath the table. Breathe. Just breathe. They don't know. They can't know. What they couldn't know was that those hands had spent countless hours wrapped in tape and leather, that those seemingly delicate fingers had learned to deliver combinations that could drop grown men, that the quiet girl reading alone had been Detroit's junior Golden Gloves champion for 3 consecutive years before her mother decided to start fresh. Nothing to say, Tyler laughed. Figures. Your kind never wants to. That's enough. The words came out sharper than intended. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Oh, she's got some fire after all. I like that. He stood up, looming over her. Maybe we should continue this conversation somewhere more private. The threat was clear. Zara gathered her things quickly, but Marcus grabbed her book before she could reach it. Romeo and Juliet. He flipped through pages with exaggerated interest. How romantic. Too bad nobody's ever going to love a weird little... He never finished. Zara snatched the book back with such quick, precise movement that Marcus stumbled backward, more surprised than hurt. For a moment, her careful facade had slipped. The fluid way she'd moved, the perfect balance, the controlled aggression, it had been instinctive. Too instinctive. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Interesting. She hurried away without another word, leaving her lunch half finished. Behind her, their laughter echoed like a promise of worse things to come. The rest of that day passed in anxiety. During chemistry, Jake sat behind her, flicking paper balls at her head. In hallways, Tyler accidentally knocked her books from her arms, sending papers scattering while other students stepped around the mess without helping. But Marcus worried her most. While the others were predictably crude, he watched her with calculating gaze of a predator studying prey. She caught him staring during English class, head tilted as if solving a puzzle. He knows something's different, she realized. Be more careful. That evening, Zara sat in her bedroom staring at the heavy bag hanging in the corner, a compromise her mother had agreed to when they moved. For exercise, they'd told the landlord, but as Zara ran fingers along worn leather, she remembered the weight of real gloves, satisfaction of a perfect cross, the respect she'd commanded in the ring. Here, she was just another target. There she'd been a warrior. How was school, baby? her mother called from downstairs. "Fine, Mom," Zara replied, the lie coming easily. Dr. Williams worked double shifts at the hospital to afford their new life. The last thing she needed was her daughter's problems. Zara changed into workout clothes and began her routine. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Each combination delivered with textbook precision, muscle memory taking over. The rhythmic thudding against the bag had always been meditation, but tonight felt like preparation. "No," she told herself firmly. "That's not who you are here." The next morning brought fresh humiliation. Someone had taped a crude drawing to her locker, a caricature with exaggerated features and words she wouldn't repeat. Students walked by, some snickering, others looking away in embarrassment. Artistic, don't you think? Marcus appeared beside her locker, voice conversational. "Tyler's got real talent." "Why are you doing this?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Marcus tilted his head, studying her face. "You know what I think? I think you're not what you pretend to be." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I think there's something you're hiding, and I'm going to figure out what it is." The promise in his words sent ice through her veins. Gym class became a nightmare. Coach Peterson, a former Marine who believed in building character through adversity, paired students randomly for wrestling practice. By coincidence or design, Zara found herself facing Tyler. "Try not to get hurt, princess," he sneered. As they circled each other on the mat, other students formed a circle, sensing blood in the water. Tyler outweighed Zara by 60 pounds, with reach advantages that seemed insurmountable. What they couldn't see was how she analyzed his stance, noted how he favored his left side, catalogued his tells. "Let him win," her mind insisted. "Don't show them what you can do." Tyler charged forward with all the finesse of a freight train. In the ring, Zara would have sidestepped and countered with a devastating hook to the body. Here she let him tackle her to the mat, grimacing as her shoulder hit the gym floor hard enough to make her ears ring. "Pathetic," Coach Peterson barked. "Williams, show some fight. This isn't a tea party." Tyler pinned her easily, his weight crushing down on her chest. For a moment that felt like hours, she stared up at his triumphant grin while the taste of defeat filled her mouth like copper. "Good try, scholarship girl," he whispered, loud enough for others to hear. "Maybe stick to the books." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Even some who'd seemed sympathetic couldn't hide their amusement at her complete helplessness. "This is who they think you are," Zara realized. "This is who you've made them think you are." The next few days blurred together in endless cycles of small cruelties. Her homework disappeared. Someone poured chocolate milk into her backpack. Anonymous notes appeared in textbooks with increasingly creative suggestions about where she should go. But isolation hurt most. Other students, fearing association with a target, gave her wide berth. Teachers, overwhelmed with responsibilities, seemed blind to the cruelty flourishing under their noses. Zara began eating lunch in the library, seeking refuge among stacks where Mrs. Patterson, the elderly librarian, at least acknowledged her existence with kind smiles. But even there she wasn't safe. "Found you." Jake's voice cut through the library's hushed atmosphere. He'd cornered her in the biography section, away from Mrs. Patterson's watchful eye. Marcus and Tyler flanked him, blocking her exit. "This is a library," Zara said quietly. "You're supposed to be quiet." "Oh, we'll be quiet," Marcus assured her. "Real quiet. Wouldn't want to disturb anyone." Tyler grabbed a book from the shelf, a biography of Muhammad Ali. "Look at this," he said, flipping through pages. "Another one of your heroes, I bet." Something cold settled in Zara's stomach as Tyler began tearing pages from the book. The sound of ripping paper seemed unnaturally loud in the library's silence. "Stop," she whispered. "What was that?" Jake cupped his ear mockingly. "Did you say something?" More pages hit the floor. A photograph of Ali in his prime, arms raised in victory, landed at Zara's feet. "I said stop." Her voice carried weight that made all three boys pause. Marcus studied her face with renewed interest. "Or what, you gonna fight us, all three of us?" He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Face it, princess, you're all alone here. No daddy to protect you, no friends to help you, just you and us." He's right, Zara thought. "I am alone, but maybe you're right," she said softly. "I am alone, but so are you." The boys exchanged glances. "What's that supposed to mean?" Tyler demanded. "It means you need 3 people to pick on one girl. What does that make you?" Jake's face flushed red. "What did you just say?" "You heard me." Something was shifting inside Zara, like a dam developing cracks. 3 against 1. Real brave. Marcus stepped forward, face darkening. "Oh, you better watch your mouth. Or what, you'll tell your friends? Oh, wait." Zara looked around the empty aisle. "They're already here. All of them. Your whole crew. The sarcasm in her voice cut like glass. Must make you feel real strong. For a moment, the library was silent except for distant fluorescent hum. Then Tyler moved. You little... He reached for her, but Zara wasn't there anymore. She'd shifted weight and angle just enough that his grabbing hand found only air. Off balance. He stumbled forward into the bookshelf. The movement had been subtle, natural-looking, but Marcus's eyes had tracked every inch. Interesting, he murmured. Very interesting. They left her alone that day, but Zara knew it wasn't over. If anything, it was just beginning. Friday arrived with an announcement that made Zara's blood freeze. Due to water damage in the West Wing, Principal Harrison's voice crackled through the intercom. Students will use the auxiliary restrooms near the gymnasium for the remainder of the day. The auxiliary restrooms, isolated, away from main student traffic. Zara felt sick. She tried to make it through the day without using the facilities, but by 7th period biology, she couldn't wait any longer. The auxiliary restrooms were exactly as she'd feared, tucked away, in a corner near the old gymnasium, dimly lit and eerily quiet. She was washing her hands when she heard the door open behind her. Well, well, Marcus's voice echoed off tile walls. Look who we found. In the mirror, she saw all three filing into the restroom. Tyler turned the lock with a loud click that seemed to echo forever. This is a girl's restroom, Zara said, voice steadier than she felt. Oops, Jake grinned. Guess we made a mistake. They spread out, blocking her exit route. The restroom suddenly felt impossibly small. We've been thinking, Marcus said conversationally, about our little conversation in the library. You seemed different that day, confident, like you knew something we didn't. Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. I don't know what you're talking about. See, that's the thing. Marcus stepped closer. I think you do. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think there's a lot more to quiet little Zara than meets the eye. Tyler cracked his knuckles. Maybe we should find out what she's hiding. Maybe we should, Jake agreed. They were closing in now, the circle tightening. Zara pressed back against the sink, trapped. Here's what's going to happen, Marcus said softly. You're going to tell us the truth about who you really are, and then you're going to understand exactly where you stand in this school's food chain. I already know where I stand, Zara said quietly. Good, then this should be easy. Tyler reached for her first. His mistake. The dam inside Zara didn't just crack. It shattered completely. Her right hand shot out in a textbook jab that caught Tyler. Square in the nose, the sound of cartilage breaking was surprisingly loud in the tiled space. Blood immediately began streaming down his face as he stumbled backward, hands flying to his nose. What the... Jake started forward, but Zara was already moving. She ducked under his wild swing and drove her left fist into his solar plexus with surgical precision. Jake folded like origami, gasping for air that wouldn't come. A follow-up right hook to his temple sent him crashing into the bathroom stall door. Marcus, frozen in shock for those crucial seconds, finally reacted. You little... But Zara was no longer the girl who'd been eating lunch alone in the corner. The fighter she'd buried had clawed her way to the surface, and she was furious. Marcus threw a haymaker that would have flattened most people. Zara slipped it easily, her body moving with fluid grace of countless training hours. Her counter came as a devastating uppercut that lifted Marcus onto his toes. Before he could recover, she followed with a combination that would have made her old coach proud. Left hook to the body, right cross to the jaw, finishing with another left hook that spun Marcus completely around. He hit the floor hard. The entire confrontation had lasted maybe 15 seconds. Zara stood in the center of the bathroom, chest heaving, looking down at the three boys who had made her life miserable. Tyler was still trying to stop his nosebleed. Jake was curled in fetal position, struggling to breathe. Marcus was attempting to sit up, his jaw already swelling. Here's the truth, she said, her voice carrying authority. That seemed to fill the space. My name is Zara Williams. I was Detroit Junior Golden Gloves champion 3 years running. I've been boxing since I was 8 years old. I've knocked out grown men who outweigh me by 50 pounds. She knelt down so she was at eye level with Marcus, who was staring at her in complete shock. I came to this school hoping I could be someone different, someone normal. I thought maybe I could just be a regular student, make some friends, blend in. Her voice was conversational now, almost gentle. But you wouldn't let me, would you? Marcus opened his mouth, but no sound came out. See, the thing about bullies, Zara continued, is that you pick on people you think can't fight back. You choose targets who seem weak, vulnerable, alone. You made the mistake of thinking quiet meant helpless. She stood up, looking down at all three of them. I didn't want to be this person here. I wanted to leave the fighter behind and just be a normal teenager. But you wouldn't let me. Her voice hardened. So now you know the truth. I'm not your victim. I never was. Tyler finally managed to speak through his broken nose. You're crazy. You can't just what? Zara's eyes flashed. Can't defend myself? Can't fight back when 3 boys corner me in a bathroom? Her laugh was sharp. Watch me. The bathroom door rattled. Someone was trying to get in. It's locked. A girl's voice called from outside. Zara looked at the 3 boys on the floor. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to unlock that door and leave. You're going to tell everyone you slipped and fell. All 3 of you. Clumsy accident. And if we don't, Marcus managed to ask. Zara's smile was sharp as a blade. Then I tell everyone the truth. That the big tough wrestling captain and his crew got beaten up by a girl in the bathroom. How do you think that'll play with your reputation? The silence stretched between them. Choose, she said simply. Marcus struggled to his feet, jaw visibly swollen. Without a word, he unlocked the door. The 3 boys stumbled out, Tyler still holding his nose, Jake still clutching his stomach. Bathroom's all yours, Zara called to the girl waiting outside, her voice perfectly normal again. But word spread fast in a high school ecosystem. By Monday morning, everyone knew something had happened, even if details were murky. The official story that Marcus, Tyler, and Jake had all suffered injuries in an accident satisfied administration, but fooled no one. Students who had previously ignored Zara now watched her with curious eyes as she walked down the hallway. Conversations stopped when she passed, not out of mockery this time, but out of something that looked suspiciously like respect. Marcus's jaw was wired shut. Tyler's nose was set, but still bandaged. Jake moved gingerly, favoring his ribs. None of them would meet her eyes. But it was the change in everyone else that surprised Zara most. Students who had watched her humiliation in silence now nodded when they passed her in the hall. A few even said hello. During lunch, as Zara sat in her usual corner with her book, someone approached her table. She looked up to see Sarah Martinez, a quiet sophomore who'd been another frequent target of the trio's attention. Mind if I sit? Sarah asked hesitantly. Zara gestured to the empty chair. Please. I heard what happened, Sarah said quietly. In the bathroom, I mean. Not the official version, the real version. Zara said nothing, but she didn't deny it either. Tyler shoved me down the stairs last week, Sarah continued. Told everyone I tripped. I didn't trip. I'm sorry, Zara said, and meant it. My point is, Sarah pressed on, someone finally stood up to them. Someone finally showed them they can't do whatever they want to, whoever they want. Before Zara could respond, 2 more students approached, David Kim and Amanda Foster, both bearing invisible scars of the trio's attention. Mind if we join you? David asked. Soon Zara's corner table was full of students who had something in common. They'd all been targets, and they'd all suffered in silence. Now, suddenly, they weren't alone anymore. You didn't just fight back for yourself, Amanda said softly. You fought back for all of us. Zara looked around the table at these faces, no longer victims, but survivors finding their voice. That afternoon, Marcus approached her at her locker. His jaw was unwired, but his speech was still slightly slurred. I wanted to, he started, then stopped. Started again. What you did, I deserved it. Zara studied his face, looking for deception. She found only shame. Yeah, she agreed. You did. I want you to know, he continued with obvious difficulty, it won't happen again. To you or anyone else, I'm done with all of that. Whether it was the beating that changed him, or the complete destruction of his reputation as someone to be feared, Marcus seemed genuinely different, quieter, more thoughtful. Good, Zara said simply. Later that week, Tyler and Jake approached her together in the hallway. Both looked nervous. We wanted to apologize, Jake said quickly, words tumbling over each other, for everything. The things we said, the things we did. It was wrong. Really wrong, Tyler added, voice still slightly nasal from the broken nose. Zara looked at them for a long moment. Apology accepted. But here's the thing. Don't just apologize to me. Apologize to everyone you've hurt. And more importantly, don't hurt anyone else. They both nodded eagerly and hurried away. Standing at her locker, Zara felt a strange sense of completion. She'd never wanted to fight at school. She'd tried everything to avoid it. But sometimes she realized the only way to stop a bully was to show them you weren't afraid to fight back, but you didn't become them, she thought. You didn't become what you hated. That evening, she called her old coach in Detroit. Zara, Coach Robinson's booming voice filled her with warmth. How's the new school treating you? Better now, she said honestly. Coach, I had to use what? You taught me. Not in the ring, in real life. There was a pause. You defend yourself, baby girl? I defended myself. Good. That's what I trained you for. Not just to win fights, but to win life. You remember what I always told you? Zara smiled. Being strong isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting people, including yourself. That's right. You protecting yourself is protecting everyone who's too scared to protect themselves. You showed them it's possible. The next Monday brought an unexpected development. Principal Harrison called Zara to his office, and for a moment, she wondered if she was in trouble despite the official story about accidents. Instead, she found Coach Peterson waiting alongside the principal. Miss Williams, Principal Harrison began. Coach, Peterson has brought something to my attention. He says you've shown unusual athletic ability in his class. Coach Peterson nodded gruffly. Never seen movement like that from someone who claims to be non-athletic. Got me curious. Zara's stomach tightened. He did some research. The principal continued. Found some interesting information about a certain junior Golden Gloves champion from Detroit. The secret was out. Why didn't you tell us about your boxing background? Principal Harrison asked, not unkindly. Zara chose her words carefully. I wanted to start fresh, be someone different. Well, Coach Peterson said, I've been trying to restart our boxing program for years. Been looking for someone to help train younger students, teach them discipline and self-defense. Interested? The irony was perfect. The skill she'd tried to hide was now being celebrated. 6 months later, Zara stood in Jefferson High's restored boxing gym, watching younger students practice combinations on heavy bags. Among them was Sarah Martinez, who'd discovered natural talent and fierce determination. David Kim was there too, having found confidence he never knew he possessed. Even some former bullies had joined, drawn by the discipline and structure that boxing demanded. Tyler, his nose now healed straight, was working on fundamentals with dedicated focus. Remember, Zara called out to the group, boxing isn't about hurting people, it's about discipline. It's about knowing your own strength and choosing when to use it. After class, she stayed behind to work her own combinations on the heavy bag. The familiar rhythm brought peace, but now it also brought purpose. Marcus appeared in the doorway, no longer the swaggering bully, but a young man who'd learned humility the hard way. Mind if I watch? He asked quietly. Zara nodded and continued. Her workout, her combinations were precise, powerful, beautiful in their controlled violence. I never understood, Marcus said after a while. Why you didn't fight back sooner? You could have ended it all the first day. Zara paused, gloves still raised. Because fighting should be the last resort, not the first. I hoped I wouldn't have to be that person here. But you were always that person, Marcus observed. Strong, I mean. We just couldn't see it. No, Zara corrected, lowering her gloves. You saw exactly what you expected to see. Someone you thought was weak because she was different, quiet, alone. You never looked deeper. Marcus nodded slowly. I'm sorry, really sorry, for all of it. I know, Zara said, and I forgive you. But more importantly, you need to forgive yourself and do better. As he left, Zara returned to her training. Each punch carried the weight of lessons learned about strength and restraint, about standing up for yourself without losing who you are, about the difference between being feared and being respected. She'd learned that quiet didn't mean weak, different didn't mean lesser, and sometimes the only way to find peace was to show others you were ready for war. The girl who'd once eaten lunch alone in corners now had a table full of friends. The target had become a protector. The victim had discovered she was a warrior, and Jefferson High was a better place because Zara Williams had finally shown them who she really was,